accuse someone of that kind of behavior, at least hear their side of the story.
Yeah. All right. I feel like we're being spied on right now.
I think I think Pete is doing his clandestine job. He's like, when you're ready, Pete,
Pete
just give
who?
us a thumbs up.
Pete? You know somebody named Pete?
Yeah, Peter Turner.
Pete.
Peter Turner.
Is he related to Tina Turner?
Well,
Peter. PETA is like People for
Peter.
Ethical Treatment.
If you're ready, Pete, give us a thumbs up.
Army.
We don't want to bring you in before you're ready.
We suck. We really suck. This is not comedy for smart people. This is comedy for stupid people. From stupid people. It's time. I'm sorry. Did I hurt your feelings by saying that?
No, because I wasn't listening. I was watching Pete to see if I was waiting for a thumbs up.
When we go to marriage counseling, that's the first thing I'm going to say is he never listens to me.
He's looking down. I'm trying to find out. Pete, are you hearing us, Pete? He's still looking down. I don't know if he's hearing us or not.
Pete, are you hearing us? Hello, Peter. Give us a thumbs up if you're hearing us. Yeah, he looked up. Pete Turner is a former Army combat spy. Yes, he spied on combat. And
I remember that show. Combat, Rap Patrol.
With over 1,000 missions in conflict zones in a variety of countries.
He just took his headset off. I think he's still having issues.
He's having an issue?
I think he's ready. He's ready. He hears us now. Up. Yeah, he just did. Yeah.
Which either means, yes, I'm having technical issues, but I'd like to shove my thumb up your ass.
No, this means I've just I pulled a plum out of a pie.
All right. So can I finish reading his intro here?
Yes.
With over 1,000 missions in conflict. I can't say conflict zones, in countries like Bosnia, Egypt. Did we have a war in Egypt? Did I miss that one? Iraq and Afghanistan. His daily missions took him from off camp to find people, information, and secrets that enable commanders to win. He's here now. Let's say hello to Pete Turner. Good morning, Pete.
I have 2 thumbs for your ass. I'm always a 2 thumb.
All right. I'm looking for a link to Break It Down show. I got to put that in the banners. The part that has me confused enabled our commanders to win. What did we win? Did we win anything? A new car? A vacation? What did I win?
That's the hard question, man. So look, my job is to help commanders really win more and lose less, right? But that doesn't do anything for the strategy side of things. I mean, it's limited. So yeah, it's possible for me to prevent bad things from happening. It's possible for me to let folks know bad things are going to happen. And the military is going to do what it does. You know, if it's going to continue to do bad things, if our State Department isn't going to do their job, if we don't take things seriously or at least act like it, then yeah, we can still lose while we win. You know, it's just like a boxer. I can be like, hey, if you lead with that left cross, you're going to wear him out all day long. And if you don't do it and you get knocked out, like, well, you never used your left cross, you know?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of what happens in our world. And look, I'm pretty critical, but I have the same record as all the modern war folks do too. We're all for these conflicts. Maybe a tie if you want to kind of squint at it at Iraq, you know, because we said, hey, they need democracy and they have that now. But yeah, man, it's a fair question. Did I help anybody win? Yes and no. Really, ultimately, no.
Yeah, well, that's.
I have a question real quick. I had a friend of mine who was a spy. Now, his cover was he was a diplomat. That was his cover.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering about your cover. And also, when he came back, he didn't talk about it to anybody. But he developed a drinking problem because it was something. Because he said he did a lot of stuff he regretted.
Oh, sure.
And so it bothered him. And so he developed a drinking problem. And he likes to go out. And one night he confided in me over alcohol. And he says, "You can't." He says, "I need to talk about this, but you can't tell my wife. You can't tell my kid. You can't tell anybody." And I just thought it was the alcohol talking. I honestly didn't think that he did. I knew he was in the service. Yeah. I knew he was a diplomat. I didn't know about the spy stuff. And he's telling me all this stuff. And I'm thinking this is really the alcohol. So of course I'm not going to tell anybody. Not just also the fact that he asked me not to. After he died, his daughter goes to his things and she finds out all the things that he was telling me. And she goes, my father was a spy. And I had to pretend I had no idea.
Yeah.
No. But
yeah, it's
what was your cover? What was your cover?
So really my job and the way I had to do it was overt, no cover. And so sometimes there was some cover, and there's two things. There's cover for action, cover for status, right? And so, it's like when you are going to do surveillance and you have like a newspaper with you and you're filling out a crossword puzzle. Like that's cover for why you're there. And then there's the deeper kind of covers where like, oh, I sell rugs. I'm a exporter. And then they pick up the phone and they call my company, the export company, and they're like, oh yeah, P, these are number one salesman. Definitely give him a good deal, right? They hang up. That's a deeper level of cover. So that's cover for action, cover for status. And so I didn't have those things. I had to work overtly, and to that. Actually, I'm wearing one today. To that end, I would just say I was a spy. I didn't offer that, but if they asked, I'm like, no, I'm a spy for sure. And if you don't like the questions I ask, don't answer them. I'm not here to harm anybody. I'm here to help. And so either people are going to believe that or not. But here's the thing. The reality is if I got arrested, if I got captured, they'd trade me as a spy. So I'm just open about it. And actually, I'm wearing a shirt right now. You can see it maybe, but it says spy on it.
Oh,
can't really
wow.
see it very well. Because I think it's kind of funny to just be open about it. I can tell my friends I'm a spy, and a lot of them, after years of knowing all this, still don't really know, still don't really believe. And I can tell them, and they wouldn't know what to believe or not. And to your friends thing, they don't teach us how to deal with that. We do things that are morally bad a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And the morals are fine in that world. The ethics are fine in that world. It's competition. It's life and death. It's national interest. Right. And so you can shape your understanding of like, hey, I have to do this thing that goes against my grain, or just not help someone who I know we can help, but we refuse to do it because that's not what we're there to do. And yeah, that stuff, those souls live with you, and you have to figure out how to deal with it. Now, some people are like, we collect sociopaths in this job, right?
Yes, that's one of the things he told me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we're all a little something, like if I'm a little bit of a sociopath, great. Right now, today, I can control it, right? But if I was 10% less capable, would I be able to control it, or would I slide into something more evil? Gosh, I know older people who aren't as capable, luckily physically not as capable either, but they become huge assholes. And it's not because they're an asshole. It's just you lose the ability to control that. So, who knows what's down the road for me, but I get where your friend comes from. I get the bottle being a friend. And I try not to go down that route. I have a different setup than he probably had. I can talk about a lot of the things I've done because they're no longer classified. They're really kind of classified in the moment, right? And once that moment passes, once that unit leaves, once we're not longer in that country, who cares, right? And so these things become unclassified.
You've totally inspired me here. This idea of coming up and coming clean and saying I'm a spy. Yeah. Today I think I'm going to go to the high school and tell people I'm a narc, give me all your drugs. And
you might be surprised. They might be like, "Oh, the narcs have the best drugs." Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to hang out with police officers, and when they had parties we'd go to, they had some of the best drugs that they didn't have to pay for.
Right. Yeah.
And because they didn't have to pay for it, they were so free with it. They're like, "No, come on in. Yeah. Coke, pot, acid, whatever you. Yeah.
All right. Get off the drugs, GD.
Okay.
But it does build trust, though, when you say that.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, that's why you can communicate with us and them so easily, because you get us. And I'm like, I'm trying to get you. And they're like, well, let me teach you more about it. Now it's in that trust building mode. And they're like, and they'll even say sometimes, this is not common, but they'll go, oh, that's Pete. He's a spy. And everybody will look at me, and they'll keep on talking because the person saying that, they have the credentials, And so it's one of those things where it could blow up in your face. It didn't blow up in my face. So
wow.
In my mind, it works. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
Brandon has a question for you. What are 3 things a spy must master?
Man, just 3? Well, okay, so there's a lot of kinds
you have to start him easy. He's only going to get 3 at a time. So give him the first 3, and then we'll work on the next 3 the next week.
Well, let me just say this: there's different kinds of spies, right? So there's electronic guys, there's technology guys. I'm a human kind of spy, and like your buddy probably was a human spy, but even then, our job's totally different. So I would say in the combat world, I've got to be able to build trust with not only the folks out in the town, but also the military, because they don't know me and they don't trust me and they don't know to trust me. And just the name of my job, counterintelligence agent, they're like, yeah, we don't like that. So I have to build trust in two directions. So that's going to be two things. You have got to build the trust that you need everywhere you need it. You got to be an incredible networker. You got to be able to meet people and have them go, hey, that guy's pretty cool, and then get introduced to other people. If you can't network in my field, you're going to struggle to be relevant. And the other thing is you have to accept that it's dangerous. There's no jobs that are more dangerous. There are a lot of jobs that are over that bar of this is all dangerous. My job is certainly one of those jobs where I've got myself in extreme situations because that's what dangerous people do. And if I'm not near dangerous people, I'm not doing my job.
A couple of things I want. How do you become like when you did you go when you were recruited or commissioned? However, you got into the Army. Was the plan to be a spy, or was after boot camp that they said, "What is it? What is your natural talents?"
You can't shoot for shit. You gonna be a spy?
I can shoot.
How do you become a spy?
Yeah, so I didn't even know I was going to join the military. That's the first thing to say. So I had no idea I was going to be in, and a month later I was in. I took tests, and the normal tests everybody takes, nothing crazy. And they're like, hey, you tested well, you can have any job in the big book of jobs. And so my recruiter and I worked it out and figured out, and he's like, you should be a counterintelligence agent. He didn't even know what it was. He's like, I don't even know what it is. But he said to me, the job code is 97. The higher the number, the better the job. And there's no jobs really above 97. Like that's kind of where the codes stopped. There's a couple like 98 and 99 something, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is the higher the number, the better the job. It was his theory. And so I already was in it. It had nothing to do with my ability to have, to be charming or to talk to people or to be rugged. Nobody knew any of that stuff. Right. It's just, I was capable enough mentally to be eligible for that job. And again, in my job, there's about 120 sub jobs. And I happened to work myself into a spot where I did one that I was really good at.
Wow. We have a former military guy in the chat room right now. I just want to say to you that GD and I both went together. We tried to join the military. We were both on LSD, but we told them we were on Ritalin, and they wouldn't accept us. Does that bother you when we say that? Because
no. I was ready to make a gay joke because back then it's like, well, are you gay? No.
Yes. Oh yes, we were gay and we shit our diaper.
I was happy. I was a very happy person.
Yeah.
What does he say? Interesting. When I was a long range surveillance, I can't read this.
Okay, this is from Slaptail. Mm-hmm. Interesting. When I was long range surveillance, our mission was 150K behind enemy lines. If we got caught, we would be considered spies, but we were not.
Yeah.
K kilometers? Is that what K stands for?
I can elaborate on that a little bit. So I worked in a unit where it was counterintelligence people, interrogators, a thing called multidiscipline counterintelligence, a lot of intel. And we had LURS guys attached to us, and they were infantry guys. And basically, and I'm going to be very unfair to LURS guys here, they would hide under camouflage on the side of a mountain with binoculars and be snipers, and they're infantry, and they're badass as hell. But they're just looking, and they're like, there are a lot of trucks. They're moving. There are a lot of trucks moving. And so they're doing all of that. And so if you're the enemy, here's what you think. There's spies in those hills. And then if you get captured, they're going to kill you, or put you on trial and then kill you. So, it's easy to think that you're not a spy. Not up to y'all. It's up to them.
What determines if you're worth being killed or as opposed to worth being swapped for something?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, right? And so if you're like, I'm not really a spy. I'm just a guy that lays on the ground and shits in a bag and I hide and you guys found me. If they don't think you're valuable, then they're just going to throw you out the back wall and shoot you, and that's combat, fellas. Like that's the cost.
So if you get caught, it's good to say like, hey, look, I'm the president's nephew. You can get a lot of money for me.
Yeah. Anything you can to survive that moment. I mean, I don't know what the actual plan that you should do is, but you want to say, I know a lot of things, but I'm not going to tell you. But if you trade me, I'm valuable, and maybe
right. So if you got caught by North Korea, you could say, look, I could get Dennis Rodman to show up, and then they're like, oh, we love Dennis Rodman, and then you did spare you. But of course, you had to get Dennis Rodman. So
Slaptail is asking where you were, and in the intro I said countries like Bosnia, Egypt, Iraq, and Afghanistan. Now the one that I'm curious about is Egypt. Did I sleep through that? What did we have? We had armed forces in Egypt.
Well, look, you got to understand we're everywhere. That's the first thing to understand. And we are so everywhere that the first time Trump was president, he's like, "Where is everybody? How many of us are there?" And everybody's like, "Oh." So first off, that's bad command. You should be able to tell everybody where they're at, what they're doing. But the second thing is this is post 9/11. So this is October of 2001. And a whole bunch of us were already going for an exercise they call Bright Star. It's a very normal annual rotation where we go out to the Sinai Peninsula and we just run operations. Now there's guys like me, there's truckers, there's all kinds of military people from all over the world, all kinds of nations. The Italians are there, the Brits are there, right? So it's just an international exercise. And this deployment happened just after 9/11. And so because we were all there, they're like, hey, the risk is heightened. During the time when we're there, they have these, what they call MWR tours, morale, recreation, and welfare. And so they were taking groups of soldiers, American soldiers, out to the pyramids, out to the Egyptian museums and everything. And I worked my way into this ridiculous job where I was there in the reserves. In the reserves, I was like a manager of a UPS store. I could tell you where your packages were, that kind of thing, right? Now, I was transitioning back into MI, but that's just the path I had to take to get in. And so I got there, and my peers from the transportation unit like kind of pulled a fast one on me. At least they thought they did. And they're like, haha, you don't have a real job. You're just gonna be wasting your time 12 hours a day. And I'm like, yeah, you got me. Whoo, boy. And the whole time I was always going to go see the counterintelligence guys, because here's what I know about counterintelligence guys. They got more to do than they have people to do, and they would love help from me. And so I walk over to the counterintelligence office and I say, hey, I'm Pete. I'm a counterintelligence agent. I was just in the Army, 18 months ago. I'd love to help you guys out if you guys need a body. And this lieutenant, the young guy, he's really brash. He's spitting. He's like, bullshit. I'm like, well, look, I'm reading a book about Alan Dulles. If that doesn't prove it, and it's thick. It's like this thick. If that doesn't prove it to you, let me poke my head in. It's a small world. I'll know somebody. And he's like, have at it. So I poked my head in, and almost instantly there's this warrant officer who I'd worked with at the previous unit, and he's like, Pete, and I'm like, Rich. And so I walked in, and Rich took me, and I'm like, here's my situation. I'm in this transfer. He's like, don't worry about that. I work for the boss. I'll tell him, and we're going to put you to work. So all of this is all part of being a spy, fellas. It's my ability to go, they're going to put me to work. I don't care what the transportation unit does. They'll figure themselves out. And I basically abandoned that mission to go do the real mission. And Rich gave me this great job where, do you guys know who Dr. Zahi Hawass is? He's the Egyptologist. He wears a fedora. He's been on his.
I was thinking he was the second baseman for the New York Mets, but okay.
Yeah, no, not yet. But Dr. Zawass is famous. And so he was my liaison partner, and he was showing me how they were keeping the antiquities and the Americans safe while we went out to these sites. And it was wonderful. It was a wonderful relationship. And it turns out maybe a year or two later, maybe a year or two before me, my buddy, also a counterintelligence agent, had the same job. And he had worked with Dr. Zawass. And we didn't even know, because there's no briefings, there's no papers exchanging. You're just doing this job in this moment. And so that was when I was in Egypt. It was a great job. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, but I also was working the whole time. I was looking for things, what can I see? Because we don't know if someone's going to attack us somewhere. And, the Egyptians didn't know. They were doing their best to know, but they were trying to show me what they were doing to keep us safe. So I'm just trying to communicate that back to the command and say, hey, everything here seems all right, but, we still need to look at it. And so we did.
Now, I have a question about your cover.
Fact checking. The New York Mets primary second baseman is Jeff McNeil, but other players like Brett Batty, Ronnie Mercurio, and Luis Angel Acuna have played second base for the Mets in recent years. Okay, go ahead with your question. I just want to fact check you on that, because people, they depend on me to keep you straight.
I thought they depend on you for Latin hymns. So the jobs that you had, that you did cover, that you used for cover, is there a job that you had that you went, man, I actually could do this job in the civilian world? Was there one that you actually liked and you thought,
I never had a cover. I mean, I've worked under some kind of covers, but it was never like a cover like that. It was more like, "Hi, I'm Pete. I'm not doing surveillance." If I was there doing surveillance, everything, I had to work in the open. Like that's the bulk of what I did. So the one, let me display for you what the cover would look like. This is true, right? So we go to Bosnia, for example. They're like, you can't say anything about a cover that's backstoppable, which means like someone's going to answer the phone. But what you can say is, "Hi, I'm Pete. I'm with United States Security Forces." And I'm like, that's not a cover. And I'm required to wear a uniform. And I'm like, what do you think they think? What am I supposed to say? "I'm with United States Security Forces, and I'm going to ask you some strange questions." That's not a
I'm with
cover.
Space Force would work. I'm with Space Force. Do they have an official uniform yet? Space Force.
Yeah, of course. That's a legit force, man. It's like they're legit. It's easy to underestimate them because they're new. It's easy to underestimate the Coast Guard. You want to get shot at? You want to see combat time? Coast Guard, man. Those guys get it. Space Force.
But Space Force wasn't necessary. The Air Force already took care of that stuff. That's like a redundant bureaucratic thing. They developed something that we already had.
The Air Force will always tell you that, but it's probably true. And this is just Pete's opinion. I know some stuff about space. Space is a complex place. It is probably true that we needed to have a dedicated military approach for that and to have its own force, because the Air Force will always try to do every job because it's hard for them to justify their job. They are really a force that moves things. Yes, they have fighter jets, that kind of thing, but they're never a prime player. They're more of they don't even call themselves like the leaders. They don't call themselves leaders. They call themselves managers, right? And this is not a knock on the Air Force, but they have a specific job. And to add space to that, probably not the best thing. I have no problem with there being a Space Force. I have no problem with the Air Force and Navy managing that in other ways. But I think the right answer is to have a specific force to handle space because it is such a unique place.
Slaptail says he was attached to 165 MI. I don't know what MI means.
Is it Michigan or military?
Could be military intelligence, could be midget injection.
No, exactly. I was in that unit. And that's why I know a lot about LURS, is because the 165th unit he's talking about, that's the one that had interrogators, MDCI, counterintelligence, all these other things. And then they also have like the mechanics, the support, all those folks. And then we had these LURS guys attached to us. That unit is the unit, that 165th, that unit is the one I deployed to Bosnia with. And that's where I first learned about how to do this. That was my first real assignment after training was
1990s, 1996, 97 or something.
I knew this was going to happen. As soon as you went there, here we go. Now, here we go. He says, "Oh, dude, when?
See?
Company 51st.
Echo Company 51st. Yeah, Echo Company 51st, that was the LURS guys. So they weren't really a company. They were really a regiment kind of attached to this unit. And here's the funny thing. So infantry guys don't want to hang out with intel guys. I mean, like guys like me, they'll like me because I'm a bit of a hard ass and I play hard and I'm in good shape, right? Back then. But they were like, we're not in the 160. They would never ask. He'll say, they would never say they were in the 165th. They would say, "I'm in Echo Company 51st Ranger or Infantry 1st." I can't say Echo Company 51st Infantry Regiment is what they would say. They would never say the 165th. He can say that now because they're not in that unit. But that's the separation between intel and infantry. And those guys were all hard asses. They were awesome. See, there you go. That's me. That's right. So those guys were great. The one thing that I don't blame those guys, because a lot of us, we were pretty soft and brainy and not all that competent in terms of in the field. And so, yeah, why would the infantry guys care about us? Now, if you were in shape and you could compete with those guys, then you'd get the respect. But we had to earn it. We had to earn that respect. And I would say that I did. But, other guys might be like, "That guy's an asshole," because that's the military for you.
Let me just kind of... because you talk about Bosnia, that was your first like major conflict zone with Bosnia, right? What compelled you to? I don't know if you were commissioned or enlisted or whatever. What compelled you to get in the military at that? Because it wasn't like after 9/11 when we had people, or after Pearl Harbor when we had people lining up to do their patriotic duty or whatever. What compelled you to get in at that point?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. The economy was crap when I graduated from college and I couldn't find a job. I just couldn't find one. I tried to work in TV and radio and there was no jobs there. And then I started looking outside of that. I just couldn't find a job. And I'm like, I can't get a job because I have no experience, but I have no experience because I can't get a job. And so
see now the people who are in TV and radio, we find it very offensive that you tried to join. And I
know
that's a dumb joke.
It was hard back then. I mean, I was willing to carry cable at like the number 300 market, right? And they wouldn't hire me, and so it's like, if you can't even get started, what do you do? I used to live in the Bay Area back in that time. And I went over to KGO because I happened to meet a guy when I worked at Costco who was a field radio guy. He drove, and I'm not exaggerating, this guy drove around with a giant cell phone in a Pinto provided by KGO. And he's like, oh, there's a fire over here. And he would dart over there. This work. And then he'd be calling, hey, listen, I'm over at the fire in Pittsburgh, blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, I can at least get you a tour and you can go around and see what you can do. And it didn't work. I mean, he got me there. They showed me around the place. They were super nice. And I'm like, can I do anything here? And they're like, no.
It's funny when you mention cell phones of that era, people don't know cell phones in that era were as big as a dog.
Yeah, he also had a couple of whip antennas on top of that Pinto, and I'm not lying. It was a Pinto, an old Pinto at that. Because they don't give the field reporter like a Mercedes. They're like, here's this car from 20 years ago. Yeah.
Now, I used to work for a company that runs with Comcast, and they gave employees new cars, brand new cars, but they were Yugos.
Wow. That's hilarious, man. I love that a guy from the 165th, sorry, Echo Company 51st. I love that a guy like that is out here on this thing, man. I love it because that was not a big unit, but it was a neat deployment, and it tickles my soul that someone that I was definitely, and I don't know if our times overlap. I was 94 to 96. I don't know if our times overlap, but it's just cool. Those guys were a riot. I would see them every now and then in the wild, even later. And those that remembered me were like, respect. And they would see me in combat and be like, yeah, cool. And I'm saying in combat, like deployed on the same post, we would run into each other and it'd be like, oh my gosh. And so all of that infantry intel stuff would be gone. It'd just be like, even though we had this crazy family, we all did something together.
He's a fellow podcaster, and it would be good if you guys could make a connection and maybe be on each other's shows or whatever. I would take some satisfaction that we're accomplishing something. And
I'm down for it. Yeah.
So now talk to me about Break It Down show. Well, is it just military vets that you speak to on this?
No. I talk to everybody. I mean, I'm going to talk to you. I don't know. Was it next week or whenever? Later this month, you're going to be on my show. We already got that book.
Because Matt goes around entertaining vets all the time. He goes to all these VA hospitals and.
Oh yeah, well I talked about that.
He goes to traumatized vets who weren't traumatized enough.
Yeah.
But so there's that, right? And we talked about that yesterday on the show, and very much so. And later on today on my show, I'm going to have on Nellie Olson and Amanza Wilder from Little House on the Prairie. Their names are actually Dean and Allison, but they're Little House on the Prairie folks, and so they'll be on my show. So like I just like you guys would do. I illustrate life. And so whoever it is that's interesting to me, and I for sure want to talk to an Echo Company guy for sure, right? I love that. So it might be military. I might not talk about military for weeks. I love baseball, but I have anybody I want at any time because that's what we do, right? We talk to people and we find these great moments, and I can't get enough of it. I love it.
I appreciate that because we just had a guy on earlier in the show who was from Podcastify.me, and his idea of hooking people, networking through him. He has a podcasting agency. We were talking about niching down and the importance of it. And for me, I feel like, and he said I do have a niche, which is community building. I never looked at it that way, and maybe I need to change. But it sounds like you have such varied interests too that you are not interested in this whole idea of narrowing down your focus to just one thing. And
I might narrow for a while into like say I love baseball, and right now we met a guy through the show because it is a networking tool who runs the Puerto Rican. He's like the head historian in baseball for Puerto Rico, and he's like, nobody knows our early story. And I'm like, well, shit, I'll do 20 more shows on that. I don't care. Like, I'm not bound to these conventions. Like, you have to do this, you have to do that. No. I have to be able to get up every day, get on this thing and talk. I got to talk to you guys from my point of view. I got to have you back on my show, and that's what I have to do. The niching will take care of itself, or it won't. But if you do quality work and you communicate well, opportunity will find you.
All right, let's put GD to sleep for a second here, because baseball. We'll put. I want to talk a little baseball. What part of the country are you from?
I live in California, Southern California.
So you're a Dodger fan?
I'm a fan of all California teams. I kind of got my fandom evolved when I left, and I was all over the world. And I'm like, I just love baseball, you know. And I know that doesn't vibe with like folks that are like desperate for their team to win. I just love baseball, and so if the Dodgers win, I'm stoked. If the Angels win, I'm stoked. But I rooted for the Blue Jays to win because they haven't won in 30 years. And that's my favorite kind of winner is like, how do we get that team? How do we get the Mariners on the board? How do we get them in the World Series?
So how do you feel about Yamamoto being deported because he's a DEI hire in Los Angeles? You know he's going to be deported now. So are you empathetic even though you were a Blue Jay?
Right? He's got legal papers.
That doesn't matter. They're arresting citizens, people with work visas. They just look. He's a DEI hire. He's taking jobs from good.
I thought he was a hire. I thought he was hired because he's good at baseball.
No, he was hired because he was yellow.
I got you.
Yeah, he's a DEI hire.
Yeah.
There was some guy right now. There's some guy who's like 450 pounds sitting in his mom's basement who could have had that job if he'd only had a chance. But because
I wish Daniel Tosh were here. Daniel Tosh had a great line about, and I'm not going to try to repeat it, but it was something about wants women 90 miles of shark-infested waters to throw a nasty curveball. Those are the kind of immigrants we want in America. There is this whole thing about we want people who bring quality and whatever, but baseball and football, basketball, whatever. Those things are not necessarily vital to the life in America, but we love those.
But it's vital. It's vital in terms of our brand abroad. You know, if we can sell our sports, because
my brand abroad is like a 5'2" blonde. Wait, yeah,
5'2" is a good height. That's my kind of abroad
5'2"
too.
Eyes of blue. But so I was a huge baseball fan from 1962 up until 2008. The New York Mets. They choked second year in a row to the Phillies, like in almost identical fashion, like iconic chokes 2 years in a row. And I gave it up. I said, I'm never going to watch another pitch of baseball again. Slowly but surely, after like 13, 14 years away, people start cutting me. It's like the Godfather. They're trying to pull me back in. Yeah. And so I just want to get your take on this current World Series. I know you said you wanted the Blue Jays to win. Do you feel, because I'm hearing a lot of people talk about this was the greatest World Series of all time as far as drama, as far as a compelling watch. Did you feel
I was at a SPY conference all week last week, so I missed basically every game except for the last game. And boy, what a game.
The only one that mattered.
Yeah, really. But I mean, like, look, if you've lived long enough, you went through 91 and two worst of first teams and they battle it out into extra innings. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, whatever one hits you at that right spot, it's going to be your favorite one. I don't know, like I got time for all of them. And I don't begrudge any fan their team, but also like, hey, let's also, like, I want to see the Padres back in the World Series. I'd love to see the Padres and the Mariners. Like, we're stuck. One of these guys is going to win the title for the first time. I just think that's good. Talk about the brand worldwide. I think that's good for the brand. It's like when San Diego is a great place to live. And if they had a world championship, oh my God, they'd almost be intolerable. They'd be so great, So that's kind of how I roll with that. But look, do I want the Dodgers to win? Yeah. So when I root for things in the playoffs, it's like, who hasn't been there? These are my teams that I'm going to root for the hardest. And then the team from California, and I have kind of a hierarchy. But ultimately, I just love baseball. I don't really care.
Yeah. Do you feel like, we'll get off baseball after this question, I think, but a lot of people are down on the game. I know I am down on all the rule changes and all the nonsense and all the, do you feel like that the game is going to be relevant 25 years from now, 50 years from now?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's always that crowd that says the end is nigh in whatever it's going to be, whether it's baseball or math, right? Like they're always like, here comes the end. And baseball is going to be as fine as long as it's fine, as long as there's new people playing baseball. I think the game it's different.
As long as they're making money.
Huh?
As long as they're making money.
Yeah, as long, and to make money, people got to watch, right? And so people are consuming; they're paying more than ever, for tickets. So I think the game is fine, quote unquote, right? Do I love the Ghost Runner? No. Do I get it? Yeah, sure, I get that. It's not there in the playoffs. I think that's fine. Do I love more robots in the game? No. Like I don't mind a little bit of replay, but like I quit football because it's just I can't stand all of the I don't even know what a catch is anymore in football, and I haven't known for a long time. And I'm like, that looks like a catch to me. He had the ball in his hand, he went down. All right, that's the catch. No. Yeah. And so I gave up football, and I don't miss it at all. I've pulled away from baseball at times. Also been busy, but I love baseball, and I love baseball not because I'm desperate for my team to win, but just I love baseball. I love the history of it. I love writing about it. I love bringing people on my show to talk about it. There's just a lot of richness in there.
If you could just say that in James Earl Jones' voice, it's baseball.
Yeah.
No, I've gotten away from a lot of the major sports for the money and stuff like that, but mainly I've gotten into curling. I love curling. No, I'm just teasing.
I was going to go with you on that, man. I was like, why not hurling? But okay, curling. Yeah. Yeah. I don't mind the money, man. These people got to get paid. My favorite contract is the next one for the next guy. I want guys to get their 10 years so they get fully vested for retirement, at least in baseball. I like that. But I got no time for basketball. I can't stand that. I went to a game. I was very fortunate to go to a very special access Lakers game. It was great to go in the access, but I could not care less about the game. That is not the game that I grew up with, and I don't find it entertaining.
I used to play ball, and it's funny. I had a friend of mine who his thing was NASCAR. He loved NASCAR.
Yeah,
and we used to work on the road together. And I liked basketball mainly because I used to play basketball. I used to play basketball and football, so those are two sports I used to watch.
Yeah,
and he go basketball, and he go, all I hear is squeak, 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 squeak is the sneaker sounds. He says he can't stand the sneaker sounds. That's why he can't take watching basketball. It's like all I hear is squeak, 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 squeak.
So let's come back to Break It Down Show, because I'm interested in, first of all, you don't do it live, right?
I do it live, and actually I'm pushing out on my YouTube channel, Break It Down Show style, and also to my X channel right now. I'm pushing you guys out because that's one of the great things about streaming.
We appreciate that. Now, we were talking about, and it seemed like Fitz did not want to kind of really address this idea of, I get asked a lot, how do you make money? How much the podcast is making? I said, well, you could make $120 million a year, or you could actually lose $120 million somewhere in between there.
Yeah.
Do you have any insights into the business and how to actually monetize it?
So I would say if you're worried about money, you should probably buy a franchise. And you buy a franchise by just go drive Uber every night, like work for 5 years in a row straight. You'll have well over $100,000 just by making $100 a day. Buy a franchise and be done. And don't start a damn podcast if you want to make money.
Right.
So that's the first thing I would say is look, and you can be very famous, get a contract, start a podcast, and be the next person who had all those advantages and fails, right? It's not a gentle business, but if you think about value, I love talking to you guys. I'm not lying. It tickles my heart that a guy from the Echo Company was on this thing, and I've connected with that person now, at least just a tiny little bit. I love all of that. And it's on me to turn that into value. It's on me to have an exchange of shows with you guys, and you're on my show, and just create opportunity for people to connect, to hear something. And from there, you will get money. You may not get enough money. You may not be able to afford doing it, but that's just business and life, right? I'm lucky that I get to make just enough to make this thing kind of make sense. And then a big check, and I say big can be $500, will come up, and it'll be like, bam, and it'll arrive. And I didn't do anything specific for it. It just arrives because I created value for somebody else. So like maybe I put a book agent and an author together, and they do a deal, and both of them cut me a little check as a thank you thing. Right. I don't ask for those things. They show up. So how you turn this thing into if you have something that's valuable, the monetization will follow. May not be enough for you to only do that, but look, this is a competitive business. Among our competitors, Jason Bateman, that guy's got a lot of money and a lot of fame already.
Right.
And you might say, well, he's not in my space. It doesn't matter, man. He's collecting people and they pay attention to him, and his friends are famous and all his guests are famous. That attention is limited. And so if you're not able to trade attention, then you have to find something else to trade.
Very true. And I kind of talked to you on this morning, and I appreciate your candor in just trying to create value. That's really all I care about. Like, I never did this with the intent of making money from it. It's like, what can I do that will be of value to people?
Yeah.
And I think that's lost in society. We are more concerned about how do I get famous rather than how do I add value. Now, people, it's like I question whether daily sometimes whether we are adding any value to people's lives in any way. It's refreshing when people tell me that they got something from the show. It's refreshing when I make connections like you talked about. But at the end of the day, I've never started to do it for money.
Right.
But that money is it's part of a measuring stick of how you're doing. And I spend so much of my time trying to chase down sponsors for money they owe me and all that stuff. It takes a lot of my energy out of this and my will to keep doing it. It's like I didn't become a podcast. I did it because I missed radio.
Can I say something about all what you just said? Because it's the big thing. Like, I get asked all the time, well, what about sponsors? I don't got enough people paying attention for it to be worth my time to go chase sponsors.
Yeah.
And that's to go catch them. Then I got to get them to pay. Then I got to convince them that's a good idea to continue to do this with. And I don't know that it is. I don't know that, like, I'll take a sponsor on and that's great. I've had them before, but it ends up being like, I don't know that this is working for either of us. I'm doing all this help for how much, whatever. And I'll say the word $25 a month. Because if you were starting and you get $25 a month for somebody, that's great. Well, how do you justify that expense? It's not always worth the effort. And then the affiliate market thing. Hey, listen, mention our product 5 million times and we'll pay you $10 if someone buys a whatever. Like, no, man, either you can pay me or you can't. I'll be an ambassador, but I'm not going to sit there and shill your stuff for a fraction of what you'd have to pay a sales guy. I'm not going to sell your mattress. I'm not going to sell your juice. I'm not going to sell any of those things. You want to give my people a discount? You're welcome. I'll take the code, but I'm not going to push it because there's nothing in that for me. And so I don't waste my time trading in that kind of attention because that's good for the other guy, but it's not good for me. And I'm really big. I made a video like this today on TikTok. I'm really big on this. Are you a good business partner? And if you are, then you can have my attention. But if you're not, you're in a competition with other things that don't matter enough. And so for me, I started broadcasting on TikTok and I looked at my last 8 videos and I had 20 spins, 20 fellas, 20. Some of them had 0 and 1. Like, that's not me. That's y'all. And and there's a whole industry on TikTok of how you get more attention. So that is them monetizing. And TikTok's always trying to turn me into a consumer. It's always trying to get more access to my phone. No thanks. And I'm not against anybody who does well on TikTok, but I'm not here to get famous on TikTok. I'm here to create opportunities, to make these movies I'm trying to make, to do the things I'm trying to do now. And if TikTok takes away my attention, I'm not going to trade in TikTok. So I'm glad to be on there and push things out. But if my audience doesn't grow there, I don't care because that's not where my opportunities are.
Yeah, you reminded me of something that from my radio days when I used to be on local radio, and I knew the sponsorships. I got to meet with the business owners that sponsored my program, and I knew they weren't getting real value from what I was my commercials and stuff. They weren't turning into dollar amounts that could be measured. But for them, most of the time, it was an ego boost. To hear their company mentioned on the radio was a thing for them. And I knew that made them happy. And that's the way I justified having to run those commercials. But I knew at the end of the day, they weren't making any money off me. They were losing money on my show. But it was an expense that pumped them up somehow and kept them involved. And I had to use that as a motivator for me to keep doing it. It's like, okay, it makes them feel good to be part of. I'm not,
and that is a thing you can trade. And if they have value in that, great. I would rather a company come to me and say, help us build a better podcast, and then have them make better decisions about why they're doing it. I'd much rather get money for that than to get whatever small amount of money. I'm not saying anything bad about ads. Ads are great, right? But I'd rather work hard on them in having something to improve the condition of their company than to rely on me and my audience to give them some kind of reach or ego boost. I'm less interested in that. I'm willing to listen, but what I'd rather do is have Taco Bell hire me to help them make a better podcast.
Right. Well, I appreciate you being on the program this morning and helping. I have to end. GD, I don't know if you want to keep having Pete on for a moment or two, but I have to go run. I have to go do a paint party for children at Queens Library.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, it would be fun if it were a little bit closer. It's a 2.5-hour drive, which is why I have to kind of bail a little early today. But I do appreciate you being on here, and I got to run. So. We look forward. You know what? Come back again sometime, and look forward to talking to you in the near future. I hope you, John Slaptail, hook up with Pete now. Breakdownshow.com. Can I give him your email address?
Yeah, give my email. It's fine. Pete@breakitdownshow.com. Anybody can reach out to me. I'm glad to hear from folks.
Thank you for being part of the program, Pete. It's been a pleasure. And
thanks, fellas.
All right. Bye for now. Pete A. Turner. Tomorrow, who do we have tomorrow, GD? You know.
Somebody.
Let me look it up. Let me look it up really quick, because I do have to run. But I don't even know. We have a full just Friday. You want to tune in for Dustin Chafin, who is Todd Graves is with us tomorrow. Todd is former collegiate golfer at the University of Oklahoma, and he's Intelligent Golf Swing is his book that is out, the Intelligent Golf Swing, and that should be different, because what's an intelligent golf swing? I have a stupid golf swing.
I think it's not what Charles Barkley used to do. His golf swing was so bad that it became iconic.
Happy Gilmore type, throwing the club.
No idea.
Yeah, so if you're interested in golf, that's a different one. I mean, we were supposed to have. Remember, Neil Young's brother was a golfer. Neil Young, the singer, though, his brother is a prominent golfer. He was supposed to be on the show. Yeah, I'm baffled by Intelligent Golf Swing. Mo Norman's single plane golf swing, and the only person officially taught by legendary ball striker himself. I don't want to be known as a legendary ball striker.
That sounds like a woman who's very angry.
Yeah.
Come here. I'm the legendary ball striker.
So I'm going to go put some pants on and then go run to do a paint party for kids. A couple of dogs looking at a dog bone cloud. You want to see the painting I'm going to do? I didn't even wait for you to say, yeah, sure. Here it is. Dogs. Couple of dogs looking at a bone in the sky.
It looks like a cloud-shaped bone. I think I like that. Actually, that's very, very fucking clever.
Well, it's easy enough for kids, because kids, they as soon as I so this is the thing, I have to give them one color at a time, because if I give them all the colors, the entire canvas is going to be black in a minute. They just put all the paint on and just like squish it around. Now it's useless. Now we got to wait for it to dry, paint white over it, and start again. So kids can be like just jumping in. I'm not a babysitter. But all right, so I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for being part of it. Thanks for all you do for your unpaid slavery. Is there such a thing as paid slavery? I don't know.
I think so. Well, I think so. There must have been.
Well, no, I you know what? I was thinking last night. Thanksgiving is coming up, and I'm gonna get a little savvy. I really do appreciate all you've done for helping me out with this program over the last couple of 3 years, 2.5 years, or whatever, and all you contribute. I know you get up extremely early in the morning to do headlines or produce headlines and punchlines for the Rev. And I just want to say that I appreciate you being here. I think without you, I probably would have given up or stopped doing this by now. So just expressing a little gratitude there. Thanks for being here.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
All right.
And you're not just saying that because when my name gets Googled, I come up under that other show for like the first.
Well, you know what?
First 15 references is that other show.
starting next week, I'm going to remember to put your name in the descriptions for all these things, and maybe it'll start to, the search engine will start to see that and associate you with this program. I don't know why they don't, but
I don't know either. It's just so funny to me. I just thought, I kept thinking like, what the fuck? What?
I have put a couple of references to, especially that stuff when I put your name in there enough times that I would think it would at least pick it up somehow, but apparently they ain't paying attention. But okay, that's the show for today because I got to run. I got to go put some pants on and go do paint. All right. Have a great day. Bye for now. And don't forget to turn on
your radio.
Turn on Pete's show. Break It Down show. All right. Bye for now.
I listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now.